Oh, welcome, friends. So, welcome in the third episode of Uncut Answers with Umesh. As I always promised you that I'll bring here the prominent personalities across the globe to discuss the concerned issues, concerned questions of yours, and any issues which are, any questions which are striking in your mind, we'll find the answers here with the academicians, professors, authors, writers, journalists, politicians, and somewhere, some kind psychologists also. So, today, we have a guest with us. So she's connected with us directly from Cumbernauld, Scotland, and basically she belongs to Bucharest, Romania. So please welcome Simona Panaitescu, author and psychologist, connected with us from Cumbernauld. So today we will discuss with Simona on the issue of human mindsets in the tough times of pandemics and on the existential crisis or optimistic or pessimistic nihilism concepts. So welcome Simona to our show,
Yeah,
to the third episode.
welcome. Very privileged to be able to speak to you today. Yeah.
So Simona, as I discussed that today's topic of discussion is on human mindset in the tough times and sometimes existential crisis on and also on existentialism concepts or optimistic or pessimistic nihilistic concepts. So overall, we can say that today's episode will be quietly centered on the philosophical terms, concepts, or psychological concepts. So my first question in that regard that and we as a human beings we suffered or suffering from a tough time from last couple of days or months. So how do you see that? Is there right to be happy or should we need to earn it? The first question in the existential crisis or tough times mindsets of human beings.
Yeah. You see, even the question testifies that we are used to obey and to listen to, the suggestions of an authority. But, we are endowed with everything we need by creation to decide for ourselves. Are we not made to be happy? Any human heart can answer to that. Of course, we are meant to be happy, and we have to find reasons and ways in which to fulfill our lives. We don't need anybody to confirm that from us. And even if we are in very difficult circumstances of life, if we have the proper mindset, we can understand that this is also a trial for our souls. So there is a purpose in our suffering. There is something that we have to learn in order to evolve as human beings, and once we learn our lessons, of course, we will be able to achieve to get to a higher level of happiness. I think this is also very, how to say, it's a common knowledge in Indian culture and religion that you just have to perfect your soul, in order to achieve, the highest purpose of life, to get to nirvana. I mean, there's similar concepts in most of, religions and faiths all over. So we can understand these challenges as trials of life and still look for our happiness. I don't know if that's what you wanted to
No,
hear, but
there's nothing like that. What I wanted to hear, there's everything is like that. As I already discussed, sometimes that discussions are always discussions, and conclusions are need to be extracted. So satisfaction is just a genetic disbalanced of Homo sapiens. So there's another concept, ma'am, that what do you think about optimistic nihilism or pessimistic nihilism when it comes to deal with the tough times?
first and foremost, I don't believe in nihilism. To
Okay.
me, that's one of the most absurd concepts. Nothing is nothing, so you cannot derive an ideology of nothing. Also, I do not believe in these existential themes that we just invent our purposes. in life, you know, and we just find the dignity to survive the day, because there's nothing beyond that, and everything is absurd, in fact, in existence. So you just find a way to cope with this absurdity of existence. That's from Jean-Paul Sartre and Camus, you know, and still manage to be happy. For me, the discovery lies in the true purpose of existence. That's why the crisis belongs not so much to existence, but to identity. Once you discover who you are as a human being, you don't need any other confirmations, you know, of existence. And I think we all knew once, when we were very, very young, what we are, in fact. Because when you are a small child, everything in life, it's about your relationship with your mother and your close ones. And everything is about care and attention, and finally love. So your whole existence is a humble one that depends on the love and attention of your mother. So you know in your heart that love is the highest. I mean, nobody should define this to a child. The child knows that everything is about love. All life is built around this fundamental love that we all have. And once you understand that love drives everything in life, and nothing is, you know, foreign to this, you cannot have, you know, once you develop as a human being, of course you have another horizon of preoccupations, and you are interested in abstract things. But if there's no attachment to that, if there's no personal interest in a subject, you cannot really have any kind of mental processes related to that. So this means that, you know, all these the challenges we are facing now with the idea of connecting to computers, you know, and being a part of the hive mind, or improving ourselves mentally, are all false issues, because we as creatures are very far from being mental devices. We are creatures of love. Everything develops from this very, very personal and subjective interest of the human being. And what is very particular to love is that it's not only, you know, a certain emotion or attraction, but it's something that demands similar things, you know, from the outside. So love needs to meet love. So there's a network, there's a web of attraction that functions in the world, and everything is created, you know, the family, the community, the society, everything revolves around this web of attractions. So there's no nihilism at all. Nihilism is a construct of the mind which separates itself from this core of existence, which is everybody's love. So once you understand that everything is centered on love, you can analyze your existence properly. And I want to tell you that there are famous mystics who testify that, you know, the love, in fact, which is in every human heart, meaning not the physical heart, but the heart of the soul, us being spiritual beings, you know, this fundamental love can be directed towards, you know, several targets. And for example, one of the greatest scientists of this world, Emanuel Swedenborg, who lived in the 18th century, said that there are 4 fundamental types of love. The love for self, as you understand yourself, body and mind, soul, whatever. So the love for self, the love for your fellow human being, the love for the world, with everything the world offers to you, and the love for God. And 2 of them are good and 2 of them are bad, according to Swedenborg. The good ones are for love and for your fellow man, and the bad ones are for yourself and for the world. Because the first 2 ones are altruistic, are self-sacrificing love, types of love, and the other ones are selfish. Also, you find this very much in the Christian theology, where it is said that you have to love your fellow man as yourself, which is a common sense issue. We all have this obvious law written in our hearts and minds. This is also in the Christian scriptures, that this is the law of empathy, that you shouldn't do to another what you don't want somebody else to do unto you. And also that what you don't want to be done unto you, you shouldn't do to another one. You see, there is another very mysterious thing about this love that in Christianity is supposed to be given not only to yourself, but in the same measure, at least the same measure to your fellow man, meaning your fellow man is nothing less than yourself. It's the famous equation of 666, the number which now people believe it's just a number of the beast, but it is written is also a number of a man. And there's another explanation in the work of the Christian mystic Jacob Lerber, which was also an inspired scribe. And it says that if you in your heart have 666 parts of love, and out of this you give 600 to yourself, 660 to your fellow man, and keep just 6 for God, then you are a devil. That's the beast. You are on the other side, on the anti-order. But if you take the reverse and you give 600 to God, to the Creator, and 60 parts to your fellow man, and just keep 6 for yourself, then you are a perfect human being, or an angelic type of human being. So everything depends on the direction of your love. And in a proper society, people should have this fundamental moral education through which they develop to understand that their identity lies in these loving relationships they develop. There's no other identity. That's why we are speaking about the crisis of identity, because people do not recognize themselves in their love. Of course, there is this self-consciousness that you develop growing, and as you grow, you forget about this essential love for your mother, which define your identity as a small child. And you define your identity in relationship to your friends and, to the books or, games or whatever subject is of interest for yourself. But in fact, the real identity, and I think you as a humanist and a journalist, you know this very well, you develop in relationship with other people. When you deeply feel in yourself that what you give to the others and what you receive back build this real identity. You come to know yourself as a part of these relationships. Yeah,
So,
please.
what do you think that, as you told, that the human concepts that we put it down deliberately or forcefully in the concepts of existentialism are totally absurd or something somewhere that. So, what do you think that there are required genetic that are there some required genetic changes to make human being a better species? Make humans a better species? Are there some genetic changes required, or is there any limit of human creativity where it ends, or actual existentialism occurs, or something like that?
So who would make these genetic changes? The scientists?
The genetic,
Would you trust?
like that, if we tell our generations, if we bring those changes in ourselves first, then that will be the genetic changes in the next generation, like that.
Even in science right now, if you think about Dr. Bruce Lipton and Professor Robert Sheldrake, you understand that they came to acknowledge more and more that matter, also this is in quantum physics, that matter is influenced by human mind. I think your yogi knew this for thousands and thousands of years, that you can perfectly control your body through the proper use of your mind. So even the way our genes react to things depend on the environment. This is called epigenetics, and also depend on the way your mind controls the body also. So there's no need for a brutal material intervention at a genetic level, because once you evolve, as a moral, spiritual human being, everything that needs to come, on a material, natural level appears, everything is driven by your love and your mind. And I think this acknowledgement of the spiritual world is absolutely essential, because love doesn't belong to matter. You cannot touch love. I mean, you cannot touch human emotions. You can eventually, come with this idea, which is common in atheism, that they are all products of matter, of the functioning of the brain. On the other side, what science testifies today, through the near-death experiences research, meaning people who come, from a condition of clinical death with knowledge of what happened in the room where they suffered surgery, or they are treated as dead in the morgue or something, things that they can see as if they would be in the body, but there's absolutely no possibility unless they are, souls seeing everything, from the above. And so there are so much scientific testimonies that we are so much more than, our bodies, than our genes, than our DNA. We are really spiritual beings, which for an amount of time are dressed in this physical gown, and when we die,
Basically, we are not these. Basically, we are not these bodies. We acquire these bodies.
yeah,
What do you want to say like
in
that?
fact, you can say that we build these bodies
Yes, yes,
for
yes.
ourselves, for this incarnation, in order to have this trial of life, which is a trial of love and free will. This is a
So,
free love in our
Women,
core.
do you think that is there any universal language, or is there any necessary element to being common or to connect with each other as human beings? Is there any universal language, or is there any common element or
Yeah,
required? So,
absolutely.
so what can we
So
say
this
that,
is,
what should be it? What should it be, or what should it be?
yeah, absolutely. This is the language of love. You can connect even with an animal through this
Ex-
language. And you love the animal, and the animal loves you. A dog would give his life for you. So how much more can we speak this language of love towards a fellow man, which is, a similar being with us, a child of God, same as each one of us.
So, ma'am, if we
This
discuss,
is,
oh, okay, let you complete yourself.
yeah,
I'll
I
go.
wanted to say it's the very same love from God which animates every human soul. What I tried to explain earlier was that this love is used in different ways by every person. Function of education, and the way the body is, it's the specific demands of the body, and so on, so on. So, but essentially, it's the same love. It's the same engine of love, of life in everybody.
So, ma'am,
So,
as
of course,
in the couple of times, in the couple of last months or previous few days, that as we are seeing that we as a global community suffered from the unprecedented changes we have suffered through, and the global communication has also suffered. So, what you think that all these things we have discussed till now are becomes very important when it comes to deal with the pandemics, deal with the tough times as a human mindset. So how do you think all these things how become the important in these times?
yeah, uh, people are starting to search for a way out And this is the beginning of the awakening of humanity, because there is no accident in the fact that we came to this point, in coping with a pandemic or a so-called pandemic, and with all the measures that the governments enforce, because everything was built in time to reach this level of authority, and to to practically start rebuilding the communities all over the world. This is decided by the people who have huge power. This is decided by the people who, spread the 5G web all over the world, or, the people who own big pharma and, the big oil companies. And we have delivered our trust to these authorities, the people with the big money. That's what we did all this time, for millennia. So if the most important people in this world are the people with the greatest amount of wealth, this is what you get. In the end, everything, moves humanity towards total control. Because you cannot have an incredible amount of wealth and really care about other people. This is as simple as you can get it, because when you have a lot of wealth, other people don't have anything. And everybody knows for decades and decades that people are starving in this world. So why are you allowing yourself to have as much money as a whole nation or several nations while people are starving? And, even this awareness, as we are dealing with huge economic problems now, and job losses and stuff, people are asking themselves these questions. So why do some people have to have all this money or all this comfort and safety that money gives them, while other people need to struggle as hell to survive?
Exactly, ma'am. As you discussed, that we can survive with the humanity, and can come out of all this crisis. So coming back to the center point of discussion, humanism, life, and existentialism. So ma'am, what do you think, that are human ethics learned or natural?
Sorry,
So
can you?
coming, as I told, that coming back to the center point of discussion, existentialism, life, and
Yeah,
humanism. So ma'am, what do you think, that are human ethics learned or natural?
human ethics. They can be both, but first and foremost, we do have an innate conscience of good and bad, this innate empathy. But this needs to be so-called just awakened through the basics of moral education. In other words, although this is something natural to us, like, it's natural for us to see, but if you don't open your eyes, you will never see. So something should stimulate you to open your eyes. And in this case, the basics of this ethic or moral education are are put by the parents in the family. And this may be enough, more than enough, to have this awakened conscience. For example, I was brought up in a communist atheistic society. So for me, there was not much needed to understand that you have to follow these basic moral concepts, and not to steal, and not to lie, and not to do harm to another person. These things have not been repeated every day for a couple of years by my parents. You just absorb them as a child, and you recognize in yourself that they are as true as love is. They are a part of, it's natural to do the good things, and to speak the truth and do no harm. This is very much natural. On the other hand, when you are in a society or in a community which promotes um, rules and principles that are contrary to this love for fellow man, and not necessarily contrary from the beginning, but there are other things that are put above this. You know, you can have such a deformed moral sense that you may not practically be able to use your conscience anymore. For example, if you are living in a society which, like in North Korea, they tell you, you know, that the Americans, for example, and the Japanese are the most evil, you know, creatures in the world, and the purpose of life should be to destroy these evil beings in order to have a happy life. Of course, the child will absorb that,
Exactly.
but this
As a
goes
child, we
against
have
this.
to absorb that. As a child, we have to absorb that. But one, apart from that, but being a psychologist or being a, as you have also studied on existential things, that so what you think that how should we measure life? What is a life worth living? How should we measure the life? How should we measure life? And what is a life worth living?
Yeah, a life worth living is a life in which you live for other people more than for yourself, in which you find your happiness in the happiness of other people. When you feel yourself as a part of this bigger um, being, which is the community, when you feel the energy and the love and, you know, the flow of goodness that runs this community in yourself, and you find all the meaning of your life in serving, you know, this community of happy people, this is for me the most wonderful thing. And I think, again, coming back to childhood, I think everybody got a taste of this being a child, you know, and part of a group of friends. You look for
Exactly.
that, you live for that, you live for the next day when you will meet with your friends and have this happy life of playing, you know, and enjoying life together. It's a life in which you completely lost, you know, the feeling of loneliness and the feeling of helplessness, because you are aware that you are never alone. You are part of a bigger thing. You are part of a spiritual world in which a loving, caring creator tends for you and for any other human being and for the entire creation. And you are not helpless. You are supported in this existence. You know, every cell, every atom of your body are supported to be alive in this existence. It's nothing that you are doing to be really alive.
So, ma'am, what
Life
you
is
think
one.
that as we the main concept, the may somewhere the main point of all this conclusion or discussion we discuss always
Yeah,
the human beings discusses that somewhere we structure the God, the where every discussion takes a pause and every discussion takes a break, like that when it comes about God. So what would you like to say on the concept of God? If someone created us, then why does God wants to be happy, us want to be happy? Does he or she can see, can care about us, or anything? Like what you want, what is your take on concept of God?
yeah. For me, God is more than a concept. God is a reality.
Exactly.
Uh, so, uh, if love is at the core of our being, this God must be love. Everything in this, even scientifically, you know, research, everything in reality testifies that, you know, all elements existing, you know, around us and in us are cooperating in order to make life possible. So this speaks about a caring and loving creator, which uh, has this greatest aim to not only create life, but to preserve life, you know, and to make it evolve to higher levels of conscience. And of course, this creator is not in this material world, is in the world of causes, is in the world that determines everything that we see here manifest. And the love and the emotions and the ultimate truth are on this level, in the spiritual world, the world of creation. We are just physical manifestation of this much bigger world. So yeah, not only considering the scriptures, the existing scriptures testifying of a loving, caring creator, but also the physical and inner reality testifies that we are products of love and of a huge, immeasurable intelligence derived of this love. So God can be identified through this, overwhelming need of love to create and to preserve and to care for his creation in this life, in this physical life, and after this. And once you understand that we are here for an experience, we are created to be here in a physical body for a temporary experience in order to get certain lessons of life, and then to continue to live as eternal beings, because he is eternal and he cannot create anything that is less than eternal. Once you understand it, you get this peace that you are not alone, and that you have to face this trial, and you have to use your free will in order to grow from your own resources. That's the biggest question. If there is such a wonderful God, why don't we have an obvious proof for his
So
existence?
after that, a question also
Uh,
arises
yeah,
after that. That is there? Does fate exist? After discussing all these, that we could that yes, God do. As I'm today, I'm discussing you as a journalist. So
I,
I may have a different opinion on God, and
I
you will
please,
have any different opinion on the God,
yeah,
and anybody have the different opinion on the God. So today, I'm just like to take that if God exists or if God is here or there. So does fate exist? If yes, then do we have a free will? If fate exists, then how can we differentiate these two things? Does fate exist? And if yes, so what is about free will?
uh, I think the destiny of man is put in his own hands, because obviously, as we are endowed with a conscience and intellect and free will and a certain amount of love that we can direct towards something or another thing, you know, um, we can always choose what we want to do. Even in front of death, there is a choice that can be made. The way you die, your last thoughts, unless you are completely devoid of a mental process, of reason, you still have a free choice. That's obvious that free will exists. And in all religion, if free will would not exist, all the, not only all, human societies, but also all religions would be useless, because what all these systems desire from you as you become a disciple, you adhere to them, it's to follow a certain path. But in order to follow a certain path, the opposite must be possible for you not to do it.
So
This
after
is
that,
on free
one
will.
question is also if there is a free choice or free will. That questions after that, and that is concluding remark is coming ahead. That after that there will be one last question, and before that there is a question that if we have a free choice, if humans have a free choice or free will, so can we say that are we supposed to decide what we want to do with our life? So the question I want to ask that is suicide justifiable or not? As,
Suicide.
yes, is suicide justifiable or not? As Albert Camus and discussed in Myth of Sisyphus, and many things have been discussed by the existentialists and philosophers. So I just want to ask that. What is your take on that? as an author or a psychologist, what do you think on that question?
You know, justifiable before him, before God, or before another human being?
Before a common context, before anyone, even in the front of God, or before human beings, or before anyone, is it justifiable?
Uh, so, yeah, I think it can be justified. You know, even murder can be justified by the fact that the person has been traumatized or has been indoctrinated, you know, into a false ideology and driven into this psychopathic behavior. So also with suicide, you can find justifications in the fact that the person has lost all hope or is suffering very much and find this unbearable. So for the person, there's no other way out of a crippling situation than to take their own life. Life has become utterly unbearable for them. So from this point of view, for themselves, it is justifiable. Is it correct? Is it correct? That's the right question. And the answer is never. It's never correct. But the people should acknowledge this by understanding who they are in front of God, and who they are in among their fellow human beings. There's no life unworthy of living, as the fascists put it. There's no useless eaters. Every human being that has been created by God has an extraordinary, important destiny and a role to play, you know, in creation. Life is important. Of the least human being, of the last beggar, you know, of the last, you know, disabled person. Once you understand the heart of God, this infinite love of God, you understand that even this last person is loved with an infinite love, is forever precious. And that's, you know, when you understand that you are so precious for an infinite creator, why would you not allow yourself the chance to be precious to yourself also, you know, to hope?
So, ma'am,
But this is,
concluding.
yeah,
Okay, okay. So, concluding all the discussion, I would like to have a concluding remarks like on that. For last question, that what is the difference between living and existing? The one last question of conclusion of this discussion. That what is the difference? How can we differentiate living and existing?
yeah. Uh, of course, we can give certain definitions to these terms, but let's say existing, it's something that can be said about any plant or animal, or, you know, even anorganic beings. They are existing. We can testify of their existence. But living as a human being involves to live according to the dignity of a human being. And we are endowed with means to discern the good from the bad, the truth from the false, you know. And whenever you are living according to the proper, you know, your discernment on the right side, you know, the side of conscience, you know, of the deepest love you've got, that's when you really live. Whenever you live on the other side and you just deny your conscience, that's a false condition of existence. You are disrespecting your own self, what you are. In order to lie somebody, you first have to lie yourself and convince yourself that your conscience doesn't matter. That
So,
your, yeah,
yeah, ma'am, continue. Finish yourself. Finish.
yeah. So um, once you live in the truth, you and in love, you understand the values of this. They're not concepts. They are the higher life that we are meant to live. They are more important than this physical life itself, because they are, you know, I mean, they create the life in which you are, as you said in the beginning, in which you can be happy and in which you can feel fulfilled. all these addictions that plague humanity, and especially the younger generations, are symptoms of this huge suffering of the soul, not finding happiness. So it's like you cannot feed yourself with a good meal. So you would take anything. You would get some frozen potatoes or even grass. You would try anything because you are starving. People are starving for true love and goodness. And because they don't find this, and they feel themselves suffering and crippled, they feed themselves with whatever can numb their souls and their hearts. And they get these addictions to the cyberspace, to sexual life, to, booze or drugs or anything that can numb the pain. And there's only one pain of being deprived of love and true happiness.
So thank you so much,
So
ma'am.
we have we have to
Yes,
seek
ma'am.
for these things.
I would like to listen you. So I would like to have a conversation continue with you. But as my team had instructed that we have some,
Yeah.
so thank you so much. It was having a great time with you, and we had a great constructive discussion for our audience and for our viewers. And definitely, as I've learned many things from you, so definitely the viewers will also get to learn many things from you on the humanist concept of humanism and altruism, existentialism, or life somewhere. So thank you so much for giving your precious time. So
That was my pleasure
um,
indeed.
I would like to have concluding remarks from you for our channel, for our viewers. So what would you like to say? So final remarks from your side.
Yeah. Uh, it's extraordinary how you can speak to people you have never met before, as you knew them forever.
Thank you so
And
much,
you
ma'am.
ask if it's a common ground. Yeah, it is, because we speak from heart to heart, and the heart understands everything. So uh, we don't need complicated ideologies, or constructions. Now being challenged with everything that happens around, we have to come to the basics of our humanity and really understand and accept each other, in love. This is tolerance. This is not about religion. This is purely about who we are at the core. And we know that everything depends on love. Once people are driven to become soldiers, and to fight with each other and kill each other. But imagine that guy that you just finished off could have been the guy who could have saved your life one day,
So thank you so much,
just out
ma'am.
of altruism. That's
So
it.
thank you so much. We had a nice time. So she was with us, Simona Panaitescu, as I told, author and psychologist. She was connected with us from Cumbernauld, Scotland, and she basically belongs to Bucharest, Romania. And she has a great
Yeah.
hold in existential studies and psychological studies, and also studied at Faculty of Mathematics in Bucharest University. So, audience, it was our third episode. And so please subscribe to our channel, share this video wherever you are viewing it, and like and drop your feedbacks in the comment section, and we'll bring more intelligent personalities to you in further episodes. So stay connected with us till next episode. Thank you so much. Bye bye, take care. Thank you, ma'am.
I thank you so much. Bless you. Take care.